Give me some example, then I'll let you know why correlation is required. Hanji, anyone? What is correlation? Should I ask anyone, or you people can directly let me know what is correlation? Anyone from your side?
Ma'am, can you please start the recording?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Ma'am, dependence of variables.
Dependence of variable. Anyone else? Akshita says it is dependence of variable. Okay, I'll again open it and then tell me.
Association between variables.
Association between variables. Anything else? Anything else? So, association we can take in terms of correlation, how they are associated. Or I could simply say that how they are related. So it's basically called as if I'll define it like, so I can simply say that relationship between two variables. Fine. So I can simply say that y is equal to 2 of x, which simply states that y is related to x by a factor of 2. Fine. Similarly, I can give it like y is equal to 2x square plus 4x plus 8, which is again, it is being correlated like this. Now, there is another statement over here written as if A and B tend to be observed at the same time, you are pointing out a correlation between A and B. But you are not implying A causes B or vice versa. What does this mean? What is the meaning of this? Okay, is there anyone from the biomedical department? Yes, class. Anyone from biomedical, or should I ask from? Okay. Okay.
Ma'am,
Hanji.
ma'am, this means that although they happened at the same time, but
Hmm.
cause of one event is not dependent on the other.
Exactly. So I should say the cause of the event A is not causing the event B to happen. Getting my point, class? So correlation is independent of each other, but exactly they are showing how they both are related to each other. तो Y का बिहेवियर अपने आप में है और X का बिहेवियर अपने आप में है. So ये दोनों एक दूसरे के लिए इंडिपेंडेंट है. How they are related to each other, that is basically the correlation. Now, y, since y is independent and x is independent, so y occur hona is not dependent on x, yeah, is not being created due to x, is basically called as, what is this word called as? Causation. इसका मतलब क्या है कि अगर I'll go with anybody from biomedical science से कोई है यहाँ पर? Is Gayatri there? Gayatri, Nisha, Vishakha, Mansi, Preksha, Shruti, Neha Rose. Anyone? Okay, clear? Is Khushi and Beneka?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So Khushi, are you there, beta? So Khushi and Beneka both belongs to management. Now that is that Khushi is from management department and Beneka is from is from management department. Now the relationship is that they belong to management department. This is correlation. But खुशी का management से होना is not creating another event that Binika also belongs to management. Now this is called as causation. कोई cause and effect नहीं generate रहा है. अगर किसी भी दो variable में causation का मतलब क्या होता है? There is no cause and effect. Then it is basically called as causation. So Binika का element इसमें होना is not due to the reason that she also belongs to management department. Fine class. So this is basically called as causation. Now the thing is, causation, correlation is very important parameter for data science. You have to identify how they are correlated. Because we had already said this thing, the columns or the features has to be independent of each other. If they are not independent to each other, how we have to identify that they are dependent or independent of each other? That is being created by the correlation. Correlation exactly gives us the value that they are correlated. या correlation को अगर हम plot करके देखते हैं तो हमें पता चल जाता है कि how they are correlated. But अगर causation आ रहा है कि एक event हुआ और simultaneously दूसरा event इस वजह से हुआ क्योंकि A हुआ था, then it is called as causation. So they to be different. Correlation cause can't go hand in hand. Getting my point, class? Now, causation कहाँ होता है ज्यादातर यूज? जब हम probability निकालते हैं. I hope you understand my point. Causation. I will talk about this positive correlation and negative correlation afterwards. Probability is what? हमने study किया था. Probability is basically giving us the chances or expectation particular event will occur. Now, where I need to apply causation, if I'll say that there are two independent events that has to occur, but क्योंकि event A पहले occur हुआ, उसके बाद event B occur हुआ, now there is a causation. क्योंकि जब तक A नहीं हुआ था, तब तक B नहीं हो सकता था. Then there is a cause and effect relationship. Best example, if I'll call Khushi, I'll call to Khushi and Khushi responds to me. खुशी टेक्स माई कॉल. खुशी कब मेरा फोन ले सकती है? जब मैं खुशी को कॉल करूंगी. नाउ दिस इज समथिंग कॉल्ड एज कॉजेशन. दिस इज नॉट कॉल्ड एज कोरिलेशन. इज इट ओके क्लास? Yes or no? Fine. What is this positive correlation and negative correlation or no correlation? Anyone from stats first? Statistics वाले बताएंगे कि positive correlation, negative correlation या no correlation का मतलब क्या है?
मैम टू वेरिएबल्स है ए और बी. अगर ए इंक्रीज हो रहा है और बी भी इंक्रीज हो रहा है तो पॉजिटिव है. ए इंक्रीज हो रहा है बी डिक्रीज हो रहा है तो नेगेटिव होगा. और
Okay.
अगर अनरिलेटेड होंगे दोनों तो नो कोरिलेशन होगा.
Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else? किसी और के पास कोई डिफरेंट वो है लॉजिक फॉर द कोरिलेशन? ओके. व्हाट अबाउट दिस
मैम
ग्राफ?
पॉजिटिव मैम
बोलो बेटा.
पॉजिटिव कोरिलेशन में मतलब दो चीजें सेम डायरेक्शन में मूव कर रही हैं और नेगेटिव में डिफरेंट डायरेक्शन में.
नेगेटिव में डिफरेंट डायरेक्शन में. सो इफ आई से, अगर तुम ध्यान से देखोगे, दिस इज मूविंग इन दिस डायरेक्शन and this is also moving in this direction. So I can say that both the lines are, or both the trends are actually positively correlated. It is not just the
Yes, ma'am.
increasing or decreasing. The direction has to be there. If I'll say I have something like, let me go with another color. I have one line like this and another line like this. So who will tell me A and B are?
Negatively correlated.
They are negatively correlated because if A is increasing, B is decreasing with the same proportionate. Not exactly the same proportionate, but in the sense कि A increase हो रहा है वैसे ही B decrease हो रहा है. But अगर मैं positive correlation की बात करूं, no matter what, the trend lines are different, but they are moving in the same direction. That means A is also increasing, B is also increasing. ठीक है? और अगर इन दोनों का कौन सी ऐसी कंडीशन हो सकती है जहां पर no correlation आ सकता है? Can anyone tell me what could be the possible thing that there are no not correlated? कौन सा ऐसा ग्राफ में कैसे दिखाओगे there is no correlation?
If they do not intersect.
If they do not intersect, that is the most important thing. दी दरवाजा बंद कर दो please. If they are not having any intersection point, so can I say that the two parallel lines are no correlated? I could redraw it if I'll say that I have one line like this, another line like this. So can I say that A and B are not correlated? Sorry, A and B are not correlated? For example, आज ही का केस ले लेते हैं. We had practicals and it is a rainy day. Are they correlated?
No, ma'am.
They have no relationship.
No
And there is
relation.
no causation in fact. कि रेनी डे होने का रीजन ये नहीं है क्योंकि आज डेटा साइंस प्रैक्टिकल है. सो देयर इज नो causation. There is no correlation also क्योंकि आज डेटा साइंस के प्रैक्टिकल है. डेटा साइंस के प्रैक्टिकल तभी होते हैं जब रेनी डे होता है. ऐसा तो नहीं है. Having any kind of relation, they are not at all related. Means अगर मेरी एक लाइन कुछ ऐसे जा रही है, I can simply go with like this. I will not say exactly the parallel one, but yes, I can simply say कि something in one is going like this and another one is going like this, or another one is going like this. They are not correlated. They are not having any kind of correlation. So there has to be some intersection point to prove the correlation. And correlation can be positive and negative. Which one is better, positive correlation or a negative correlation?
Positive.
Okay, people are saying positive correlation. Why positive correlation is important? Why? Why not negative correlation? अच्छा, probability कितनी की range क्या होती है? What is the range of probability?
0 to 1.
It is 0 to 1. The correlation factor, correlation कितना हो सकता है? Can I from -1 to +1? इसी के बीच लाइट डाउन करेगी वैल्यू. तो कोरिलेशन फैक्टर जब भी आप कैलकुलेट करते हो, इट कम्स आउट टू बी -1 से लेके +1 के बीच. हाँ जी, स्टैट्स वाले.
No, ma'am.
So exactly there has to be a range. So range is from -1 to +1. If something is moving towards more and more negative value, that is -1 के आसपास कहीं आती है, 0 तक आती है, anything less than 1.5 के से नीचे जितना कुछ है, they are negatively correlated. अब शो करूंगी तुम्हारे को साथ साथ. If I'll talk about the positive correlated, it's again the same scenario, -1 to +1. So the range is this much. Why positive correlation is beneficial in comparison to negative correlation? I'll say reverse. Negative correlation is highly beneficial than positive correlation. Who will tell me? जी कोई बताएगा मुझे? What is, सबको पता चल चुका है पॉजिटिव कोरिलेशन. एग्जाम्पल भी लिखा हुआ है. द मोर परचेजेस मेड इन योर ऐप, द मोर टाइम इज स्पेंट यूजिंग योर ऐप.
मैम हो सकता है कभी कभार नेगेटिव भी बेनिफिशियल हो कि कुछ एक फैक्टर इंक्रीज कर रहा है तो जिसकी वजह से दूसरा डिक्रीज कर रहा है और वो बेनिफिशियल है.
ओके टाइप आंसर है, ठीक है, एक्सेप्टेबल है. नेगेटिव बेनिफिशियल होता है. मैं कह रही हूँ कि मेरे लिए, फॉर मी एज अ डेटा साइंस पर्सन, आई सिंपली से नेगेटिव कोरिलेशन इज हाईली रिकमेंडेड इन कंपैरिजन टू पॉजिटिव कोरिलेशन. व्हाट आई वांट टू नो व्हाई अकॉर्डिंग टू यू पीपल पॉजिटिव कोरिलेशन इज more beneficial in comparison to negative correlation. That doesn't mean कि negative या positive correlation हम कभी देखेंगे ही नहीं, हम null and void कर देंगे उसे. I'm just asking why as per your condition. जब तक तुम मुझे नहीं बताओगे गलत आंसर, तब तक मैं तुम्हें सही आंसर नहीं दे पाऊंगी. जी, anyone? I know everybody is understanding the point. What exactly we mean by correlation? Correlation is actually showing you the relationship between the two variables. Now think in that direction. कोई भी नहीं? बहुत आसान है, सोच लो, मैं सिर्फ कुछ लिखूंगी और तुम्हें समझ में आ जाना चाहिए, मुझे ऐसा लगता है। ओके, आई हैव एक्स, आई हैव वाई, आई हैव वैल्यू एज 1 2 3 4 5 and it is coming out to be 2 4 6 8 10. Are they correlated?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Are
ma'am.
these
Yes,
two
ma'am.
variables correlated? How they are correlated? Can anyone let me know?
Multiple of them being multiplied by 2.
I
Y
can
is
say
equal
this.
to 2x.
Or I can simply say that x is nothing but y by 2. Can I say that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Now I
ma'am.
Yes,
have
ma'am.
another equation written as twice of x plus 4y. Can I solve this equation?
Yes, ma'am.
So can I do it into, I'll convert it into one variable, 2x, y की value मैं यहाँ पर substitute कर देती हूँ, which is nothing but twice of x. Can I use this? Or I can simply say that I'll substitute the value of x in this equation and then I'll solve it. Can I do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
इसका
ma'am.
Yes,
मतलब
ma'am.
चाहे मैं फर्स्ट केस कंसिडर करूं चाहे मैं सेकंड केस कंसिडर करूं, फॉर मी दे बोथ आर कोरिलेटेड एंड दे आर पॉजिटिवली कोरिलेटेड बिकॉज दे आर शोइंग यू द मैक्सिमम रिस्पॉन्स ईदर बाय अ फैक्टर ऑफ ट्वाइस और बाय अ फैक्टर ऑफ हाफ। हाँ या ना? इसका मतलब क्या हुआ, मेरा जो आउटपुट था, जो मेरा डिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल था, वो तो दो वेरिएबल्स पे डिपेंडेंट था, दैट इज एक्स एंड वाई. But what I did, I simply recomputed my equation in terms of either x or y because they are dependent on each other. हाँ या ना?
Yes,
भाई मैं x को यूज करके बनाऊं या फिर मैं y को यूज करके बनाऊं, दोनों के दोनों एक ही तरीके से वर्कआउट कर रहे हैं बिकॉज दे बोथ आर कोरिलेटेड एंड दे आर पॉजिटिवली कोरिलेटेड. दिख भी रहा है, ये भी पॉजिटिवली जा रहा है और ये भी पॉजिटिवली जा रहा है. दे आर हाईली कोरिलेटेड टू ईच अदर. शुड आई से दैट? कैन आई से दैट दे आर हाईली कोरिलेटेड? तुमको याद होगा मैंने एक एग्जाम्पल लिया था. आई सेड आई हैव 4 पॉइंट्स, 4 सब्जेक्ट्स एज दिस, लिया था. और जिसपे तुम लोगों ने मुझे बोला था मैम दे बोथ आर हाईली कोरिलेटेड बिकॉज जिसके पास मैथ्स है वी अज्यूम कि साइंस भी उसके पास होगी और साइंस उसकी अच्छी होगी. यही बात बोली गई थी.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I said, fine, let's do one thing. I'll simply omit out science and I'll simply work with math, social study, and English because I am simply saying that since the student is having mathematics, उसकी साइंस भी बहुत अच्छी है. इसका मतलब मैंने क्या किया, मैंने साइंस के मार्क्स को कंसिडर ही नहीं किया. Getting my point? Getting my point, class? Because now maths and science
Yes,
are highly correlated. I need that. Do I need that? मुझे ऐसा करना चाहिए? डेफिनेटली मुझे ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए क्योंकि माई रिजल्ट विल बी इन्फ्लुएंस्ड. अगर मैं यहाँ पर डिवाइड बाय 4 करती हूँ और डिवाइड बाय 3 करती हूँ तो मेरे रिस्पॉन्स फैक्टर आर डिफरेंट. फाइन, एक्चुअल होना क्या चाहिए था, डिवाइड बाय 4 बिकॉज आई एम कंसिडरिंग ऑल दिस थिंग एंड आई हैव टू से दैट ऑल द 4 सब्जेक्ट्स आर इंडिपेंडेंट ऑफ ईच अदर. हमने ये बात बोली है ना कि दे हैव टू बी लीनियरली इंडिपेंडेंट. But over here, it is showing me some kind of relationship to each other. That's why I simply omitted out one of the variable, which is actually influencing my accuracy. Definitely from this point to this point, my accuracy is much better. Getting my point, class? हाँ जी, हाँ या ना तो बोलो.
Yes, ma'am.
So what we want positive. अगर हमें positive correlation मिलता है तो हमारे लिए model complexity कम हो जाती है. So I'll say model complexity is reduced if they are positively correlated. Fine. If they are negative correlation, तो मॉडल कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी तो रहेगी ही रहेगी लेकिन प्लस कैसे, अब जरा दोनों की बात कर रही हूँ. नो कोरिलेशन हैज नो इम्पैक्ट. तो नो कोरिलेशन तो हमें चाहिए चाहिए. तो नो correlation is as good as negatively correlated. Why positive correlated and negative correlated, वो भी समझ में आ जाएगा. देखो, no correlation का मतलब हुआ, all the variables are independent, all the features are independent. The feature is behaving its in own manner. Fine. If they are negatively correlated, circuit complexity, I should say model complexity, because if they are not correlated or they are negatively correlated, undoubtedly we simply say that they are not related to each other. If they are not related to each other, again we can simply say that I have to consider all the features all together. मतलब हर अगर मेरे पास 10 features हैं, so I'll be working on 10 features. But if I'll say it is positive correlated, now since the correlation is there, since they are related to each other, there are possible chances that one feature is dependent on 2 or 3 parameters or 2 or 3 features. So हम क्या काम कर सकते हैं? We can simply club one feature in the name of 2 or 3 other feature and we'll simply drop it out. So now the model complexity is being reduced. पहले 10 features थे, now we are left only with 7 features, and working with 7 features is comparatively easy than working with 10 features. Getting my point, class? अगर मुझे सिर्फ 5 बच्चों की अटेंडेंस लगा करके भेजनी हो पूरे महीने की, या मुझे सिर्फ 5 बच्चों को पढ़ा करके उनका रिजल्ट सबमिट कराना हो, मेरे लिए आसान है. वहीं अगर मुझे 500 बच्चों के लिए काम करना हो, 500 बच्चों की अटेंडेंस लेनी हो और 500 बच्चों का एग्जाम लेना हो और फिर रिजल्ट बना के भेजना हो, इट इज कंपैरेटिवली टीडियस टास्क, बिकॉज नाउ every student in that 500 list is individual. They are independent of each other because their responses will be different. Getting my point, class? So nobody is correlated. So I can't say that first 10 is having almost 100 marks. So I can simply say that all the 500 students are getting 100 marks. I can't do that. That is the case for the case of negative correlation or the positive correlation. But अगर 5 में से 3 बच्चों के अच्छे marks आ गए हैं, so I can say that another 2 students can also get almost the same marks. Not surely, but yes, I can expect कि बाकी 2 ने भी अच्छा किया होगा. Is it okay? Yes or
Yes,
no?
ma'am.
Yes,
Fine.
ma'am.
So can I say that they are positive correlation, there are negative correlation? So we are not saying only the positive correlation is highly in demand or negative correlation is highly in demand. It's just a factor that the correlation simply tell us what is the positive correlation factor and what is the negative correlation factor, which simply says that if 2 events are simultaneously increasing in the same direction, then they are positively correlated. If two events are not simultaneously occurring, or I should say one is increasing, another one is decreasing, then it is a negative correlation. And finally, there is a no correlation. That means they are not related to each other. And we want this to happen. Graphically, अगर identify करना है, so definitely there has to be one intersection point. Then it is what is causation? We got to know cause and effect का relationship होना चाहिए. कि अगर A occur हुआ है, तो ही B occur हो सकता है, वरना नहीं हो सकता. So causation is also known as causality. Please. Yeah, causality कहते हैं, sorry, causality. Now, first causation means that 2 events appear at the same time or after the other. एक ही time पर occur हो जाए या फिर one after the other हो. Secondly, it means that 2 variables not only appear together, the existence of one causes the existence of another. So this is basically the causation. Now, correlation and causation can occur simultaneously, but this doesn't mean if there is a correlation, there is a causation. Sorry. Similarly, if there is causation, it is not mandatory that there will be correlation. So दोनों के दोनों impact बहुत अलग-अलग हैं. We can collate like this कि if there is one event occurring, second event can occur. Then it is basically called as causation. But we can't say that if there is a correlation, that means there is a causation effect, cause and effect relationship. ये नहीं होगा. So please do understand what is the basic difference between causation and correlation. Another example is like this. Just see the diagram and just let me know, is there anything related to causation or correlation? जैसे ऑनलाइन परचेसिंग तुम सब करते हो, आई होप पिछले 1 साल में तो ये सब हुआ है कि वी ऑल गो फॉर ऑनलाइन शॉपिंग. सो एग्जैक्टली ऑनलाइन शॉपिंग में जब हम काम करते हैं, इज इट अ कोरिलेशन और अ कॉजेशन? Think about, you add something in your cart. Purchase karna is dependent on what exactly you added in your cart. That is causation.
Yes, ma'am.
एंड कोरिलेशन कैसे डिफाइन करूं इसमें? परचेजिंग अ सॉल्ट ऑफ टाटा और ऑफ अन्नपूर्णा, दे आर रिलेटेड. अगर मुझे सॉल्ट ही खरीदना है तो डजंट मेक एनी डिफरेंस कि टाटा सॉल्ट आए या फिर अन्नपूर्णा सॉल्ट आए. दे आर ऑलमोस्ट सेम बिकॉज दे आर सॉल्ट कैटेगरी. सो नाउ दैट इज कोरिलेशन. Is it okay, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. There should be a random event to occur or a stable event to occur for a probability thing. कोई बताना चाहेगा मुझे? रैंडम इवेंट अकर होना चाहिए या फिर एक स्टैटिक इवेंट अकर होना चाहिए तुम्हारी लाइफ में या तुम्हारे स्टडीज में? आर देयर रैंडम इवेंट्स दैट आर अकरिंग और इट इज लाइक ओके डिफाइंड है यही होगा?
Random.
So
Random.
so what we mean by this random thing? Anyone? What is this random?
Which is not defined. Which is not defined.
Which is not defined. Or and what is this randomness? So
That they are
I can simply say that ki if I have some variable as x, it is random by nature. Means anything can happen. I don't know exactly what is x denoting at that moment of time. Now, if I define, okay, x is denoting the probability how many times head is coming. Now, this is the random variable x, which is actually denoting the probability whether they how many, no matter how many times I flip the coin, but I got the probability of number of heads. So that is basically giving me the value in the x. Now, what is this randomness? कौन बताएगा मुझे randomness क्या होता है? तुम्हारे इवेंट्स रैंडमली होने चाहिए या जनरलाइज फॉर्मेट में होना चाहिए? ओके, चेक इट आउट. सोचो एक बार अच्छे से. I need the not definition but the meaning of this randomness and all that.
Unpredictability.
Unpredictability.
मतलब
Anything
ऐसी
else?
कोई चीज
हाँ, जैसे ऐसी कोई चीज
जिसे हम प्रिडिक्ट नहीं कर पाए, मतलब
जिसे
एकदम
हम
रैंडम हो.
ओके. और कोई? एनीवन एल्स?
मैम कोई रेगुलरिटी ना हो कुछ में.
कोई
अलग
रेगुलर? अच्छा,
ना हो.
कोई
और
एग्जांपल गिव मी सम. मुझे कोई एक एग्जांपल दे दे. मेरा स्क्रीन सबको दिख रहा है ना?
मैम डाइस का एग्जांपल. मैम जब
एग्जैक्टली.
भी
नाउ डाइस.
डाइस को थ्रो करेंगे हर बार अलग आएगा उसका.
हर बार अलग आएगा. यू कैन प्रिडिक्ट दैट. यू कैन प्रिडिक्ट कि हाँ अब शायद हम रोल कर रहे हैं तो शायद 4 आ जाए. बट इट कैन बी लाइक 4 के अलावा देर आर 5 अनदर नंबर्स. इट कैन बी एनी वन ऑफ देम. ठीक है. चांसेस दैट मीन्स प्रोबेबिलिटी आई कैन टेक ऑफ. नाउ आई से इफ आई हैव एन एक्सपेरिमेंट. एक्सपेरिमेंट का मतलब क्या हुआ? आई एम परफॉर्मिंग अ टास्क. Number of times I am creating the observation, that is called as randomness. I am not perfectly saying कि on first set of information I am getting this response, on second set of information I am getting this response, third set of setting पे मुझे ये response आया. It can be any of them, at any of the manner, at any moment of time. That is basically called as randomness. Now tell me, data science के पर काम करने के लिए do we require randomness in the data set or not? Do we require randomness in the data set or not?
I think yes.
I think yes. Okay. I hope मेरी screen सबको दिख रही है ना? So I'll show you what
Yes,
exactly
ma'am.
I mean to say. And ये चीज अभी तुम्हें साथ साथ clear होती जाएगी. So this is a data set of bike sharing data set. Basically, the phenomenon is कि जितनी भी वर्ल्ड में आज की डेट में कंट्रीज, तुम लोगों ने ओलो के बारे में सुना होगा, योलो के बारे में सुना होगा. बाइक साइकिल्स की वो एक स्टैंड पे जाके खड़ा कर देते हैं एंड व्हाट दे डिड कि उनका एक रजिस्ट्रेशन नंबर होता है. वो रजिस्ट्रेशन नंबर लेकर के दे कैन टेक दैट बाइक roam around for half an hour, and they will again put that particular bike in another station जहां पर भी जिस locality में वो लोग हैं. So it is almost meant for 30 minutes. So उसको लेकर के एक data set create किया गया जिसके अंदर कुछ इतने variables हैं. Now these are the features. Do understand? DTE day, that is basically called as R date. Season 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a feature. Hours, holiday, working day, weather situation, temperature, A temp. India में it is temperature. In outer world it is basically called as A temperature. What is a temperature? Basically they will be going in the Celsius. हम Fahrenheit में बात करते हैं, वहां पर वो Celsius में बात कर लेते हैं. Humidity, wind speed, casual, registered, and the count. Count is basically your target. Target का मतलब what exactly you will be predicting, what exactly the output you are getting. So it is basically showing you what कि after having all these features, these are basically my features. इन features पर अगर मैं analysis करती हूँ तो I just get to know on an average एक दिन में कितनी number of bikes हैं जो rent की जाती हैं. फाइन. इसका मतलब इन सारे के सारे वेरिएबल्स में, इन सारे के सारे फीचर्स में देयर आर वेरिएशन, देयर इज अ रैंडमनेस. नाउ लेट्स सी व्हाट वी मीन बाय रैंडम. one year 0000 month 111 holiday 000 weekday weather situation. Now see, for few set of weather situation it is 1, for few set of weather situation it is 2. दिख रहा है? Then there is A
Yes,
temp.
ma'am.
जरा ध्यान से देखो, what is this A temp? A temp में everything is in 0 point something, float values हैं. Then humidity 0 point something, again wind speed, again it is in 0 point something. Count, then finally there is a peak. Now just think about it. क्या ये डिफाइंड है कि अगर मेरा सीजन 1 होगा, ईयर 0 होगा. 0 is basically, it is basically 2-year data, that means 2011 and 2012. So 0 is representing for 2011 and 1 is representing for 12. So now it is defined कि for 2011 if the season is first and month is first is January, and there is no holiday, no working day. Possibility है no holiday, no working day. Maybe कोई छुट्टी वाला दिन हो, गस्टेड हॉलीडे हो, वेदर स्पीड सिचुएशन जो है वो 1 हो, और बाकी सारी वैल्यूज ये हो जिसकी वजह से नंबर ऑफ काउंट इज 3. पॉसिबिलिटी है, हो सकता है 4 हो सकता है 5 हो. नाउ दिस इज बेसिकली कॉल्ड एज रैंडमनेस इन द डेटा सेट, स्पार्सिटी इन द डेटा सेट, एंड वी वांट दिस रैंडमनेस इन आवर डेटा सेट. अगर ये रैंडमनेस है तो डेफिनेटली ऑल मेजरली जितने भी हमारे फीचर्स होंगे दे go for independent relationship. They are not dependent on some of the columns. Over here, I can simply say that season is dependent on my month. Can I say that? It is winter, it is summer, it is monsoon, it is spring. Can I say that season is dependent on month?
Yes, ma'am.
So if they are dependent, they are highly correlated. If they are highly correlated, undoubtedly one of them can be dropped. So my model complexity is being reduced. Stability definitely varied. So there is a concept of accuracy and stable systems. What we want, जब हम practicals करेंगे, we are more concerned about the accuracy just because we are performing the practical. But in real time scenario, model complexity, system stable होना चाहिए. That means no matter whatever new test set comes in, it will simply judge the model to give the better response with the higher accuracy. But in labs, जो हम practical perform करवा रहे हैं, उसमें हमारे accuracy important है. So going for 85% or 90% or 96%, and how we have to tune our system in such a manner that from 60% it can move to 80% to 80% to 95%. So this is something called as tune. ये कब पता चलेगा? जब randomness हमें समझ में आएगा, जब हमें दिखेगा कि exactly they are independent by nature. Fine. So this is another example. Then I'll show you something. Okay, stats people. Can you let me know something about this graph? Count and count. CT versus count. कोई मुझे बताना चाहिए exactly कैसा दिख रहा है? इंक्रीजिंग है, डिक्रीजिंग है, कैसा है?
Decreasing.
Okay, now I'll show you another one and then tell me. Now tell me, ये दोनों दिख रहे हैं ग्राफ्स? First one is CNT versus count, and second one is versus count.
Concurrent.
How? I mean how? Can I say that just by looking at the shape of it, that they both resemble each other in the same manner, despite the fact their decreasing ratio is different?
Yes, ma'am.
But I'll just add the shape. So can I say that if they both are almost same in each other and they are going in the same directions, they are correlated? Nine and this is count. There are only 10 columns.
10.
मतलब क्या करा मैंने काउंट के अंदर कैजुअल एंड रजिस्टर्ड को मर्ज कर दिया है उसके काउंट को मतलब बेसिकली नाउ द काउंट इज हैविंग द वैल्यू ऑफ कैजुअल प्लस रजिस्टर्ड प्लस काउंट. Why? Because they were positively correlated. And since they were positively correlated, the way count is varying in the same manner, your registered and the casual data is also varying. That's the only thing we simply merged it. Getting my point, class? Now the model complexity is being reduced, but definitely the accuracy is being uh, going downwards. It is being reduced. At the cost of accuracy, we just got the model complexity in a better manner. Getting my point, class? तो सबको समझ में आया कि स्टैट्स को हम कैसे यूज कर रहे हैं डेटा साइंस में. व्हाट इज दिस? मैंने कोरिलेशन कैलकुलेट नहीं किया है. प्लीज डू अंडरस्टैंड, आई डिडंट कैलकुलेट द कोरिलेशन. आई जस्ट डिड व्हाट? मैंने कोरिलेशन का फंडा समझा और उस फंडे को अपने डेटा सेट पर इंप्लीमेंट किया. From this point, I just got to know that how they are correlated by just looking, by just plotting something, and I got to know they are positively correlated. So that means we can simply go and merge it out. Fine, class? Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so there is correlation. Now something called as this. Correlation हम पढ़ चुके हैं. Who will tell me what is this? Simpson paradox. I'll start with Simpson paradox first. इसके बाद ही हम covariance पे जाएंगे. कोई बताएगा मुझे what is this Simpson paradox? चलो. Read it, understand it, and then let me know. ऑफ डेटा, बेसिकली ग्रुपिंग ऑफ डेटा, जिसमें एक ट्रेंड अपीयर हो रहा है, जब ग्रुप कर दिया है तब जो ट्रेंड अपीयर हो रहा है, एंड व्हेन वी आर एक्चुअली ट्रीटिंग देम इंडिविजुअली तब वो ट्रेंड अपीयर नहीं हो रहा है या वो ट्रेंड डिसअपीयर हो रहा है, देन बेसिकली इट इज कॉल्ड एज सिम्पसन पैराडॉक्स. पैराडॉक्स का क्या मतलब होता है क्लास? गूगल पे जरा चेक करके बताओ. पैराडॉक्स इज मीनिंग ऑफ पैराडॉक्स.
Ma'am, paradox is spoof.
Paradox is
Spoof.
spoof. Spoof is what?
Like, ma'am, I did not search it, but as per my knowledge, paradox is when we make fun of something in sarcastic way.
In sarcastic way. Anything else related to some science technology? Spoof is very closer to it. Anyone, please? Search it. Google पे देखो एक बार.
Ma'am,
आप समझ.
different.
Difference. Anything else?
A self-contradictory statement.
Exactly.
Contradictory statement.
Exactly. Getting my point. So right now
Yes, ma'am.
I am simply saying कि fine. According to the grouping, it is perfect. But ये individually ज़्यादा ठीक आ रहा है. Now, which one is correct? Which one is correct? I don't know. I don't know. So when for relationship to the data science, I can simply say that fine. जैसे मैंने अभी बोला कि seasons are dependent on months. Yes or no? Yes, class.
Yes, ma'am.
We
Yes,
agree.
ma'am.
We agree
Yes,
that
ma'am.
from November, December, January, February, it is winter. But when I am merging it, so from November till February, it is winter season. Fine. From June till my August, it is monsoon. From March till May, it is my summer. अगर मैं ये चीज डिफाइन कर रही हूँ तो now what I did, I simply clubbed it. The moment I did clubbing of that, what will happen? जो individual values हर month के लिए, हर दिन के लिए आ रही थी, now they are being caught into the grouping of that. So now exactly for summer season, when I am plotting, I am getting an increasing graph. But so I am simply saying with increase in, from moving from March to June, the temperature increases. But we all know that in the month of March still there are certain days जब actually में temperature उतना high नहीं होता जितना actual में summer में होता है. True or false?
True, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So now March का जो individual contribution था वो कुछ और था, जो कि ये कह रहा था in the month of March still the rental of the bikes are less because there is still, it is not exactly the summer season, it is having some contribution towards the temperature because the temperature is not as high as the summer season है. ये चीज कब आ रही थी? जब मैंने मार्च पे स्टडी किया, लेकिन जब मैंने समर सीजन पे कंसिडर किया तो मुझे क्या पता चला? कुछ और. नाउ दिस इज बेसिकली कॉल्ड एज सिम्पसन पैराडॉक्स. whatever you are saying, you are contradicting it. आपने ऊपर तो मंथ के अकॉर्डिंग ये बात करी थी, जब आपने उसकी क्लबिंग कर दी तो आप कुछ और बोल रहे हो. So I am just saying कि during the summer season the bike are more in number that are being rented. But exactly ऐसा नहीं है. जब मैंने मार्च के महीने पे इंडिविजुअली स्टडी किया, it was coming out to be totally different. And I can show you this also. Clarity के साथ. समझने के लिए कि exactly ऐसा होता या नहीं होता. So over here. So class, see. कैजुअली जिन लोगों ने रजिस्टर किया और जिन्होंने एक्चुअली में कैजुअल वो थे जिन्होंने कभी एक आध बार रजिस्टर किया, रजिस्टर्ड वो थे जो हमेशा से ही हमेशा रजिस्टर करने के बाद ही उसे यूज करते हैं. हमने क्या काम किया? मैंने उसे ग्रुपिंग कर दी विद द मंथ. द मोमेंट आई प्लॉटेड इट, सी व्हाट इट इज एक्चुअली शोइंग. जनवरी में कम था, फरवरी में कम था, मार्च में कम था, अप्रैल में थोड़ा सा ज्यादा हुआ, मई में इंक्रीज हुआ, बट जून में कम हो गया. वाई? लेकिन जब मैंने इसे क्लब किया, ग्रुप बनाया, देन ऑटोमेटिकली माय 4, 5, 6 एंड 7 दे विल एक्चुअली ओनली शो मी द पीक. जो कि मुझे ये डायग्राम सबने देख लिया ना? नाउ आई विल सिंपली शो यू. Okay, now just tell me what I am getting. Third month, it is increasing. It is giving me a positive peak. Month 4 was what? April. April में increase हो रहा था ना class?
Yes, ma'am.
Now it is decreasing. It is in the negative direction. 0 से कम आ रहा है. कैसे? Getting my point? This is what I actually want to say. So now it is basically a Simpson paradox. When I was working individually and when I am working with a group, when I grouped it, that particular month's identity is being taken care by the group. But when I am working individually, it is showing me something else. So over here, I'll simply say April वाले month का coefficient बहुत कम था. इसका मतलब rented bikes are less in number. लेकिन वहां पर मैंने देख करके क्या बोला, अप्रैल के मंथ में मैक्सिमम बाइक्स आर रेंटेड. So now they are contradicting in nature. So Simpson paradox actually give you, basically it is a phenomenon of contradiction. What exactly you say for the group and what you say when you are treating it as an individual. So which one is more beneficial? Grouping or individual?
Individual.
Okay, now again the same problem. It all depends on what kind of application you are working on. If if I have only 10 columns, it is okay. But if I have something data which is having almost thousands of columns, it is very tedious to work individually. So you have to define it. You have to check your data. That's what exactly I did on in my project. I have to check my data, what exactly I have to go for. I'll simply pick and drop only those features that are actually contributing more. By looking this graph, can anyone let me know what are the features that are actually contributing more? Yes, class. Can anyone? For me, season 4 is contributing more. जबकि हमें पता है नवंबर, दिसंबर, जनवरी, फरवरी नहीं करता. Fine. Then I can simply say that peak hours are contributing more. Temperature is more and we all know that. भाई तुम लोग खुद बताओ, दिल्ली में अगर तुम लोग रहते हो, we all know summer in Delhi is very high. Temperature during the summer period is very high in Delhi. Yes or no? And
Yes,
we can't do the cycling during the daytime. Can we do that? No, we can't. So undoubtedly, if the temperature is more and more in summer, definitely there is a problem. So temperature is contributing more. Similarly, there is peak hours. Peak hours का मतलब क्या, कौन से ऐसे number of hours है जहां पर हमारा bicycles are more in use. So that is dependent on the peak hours. So obvious है, जब हम evening time की बात करते हैं तो हम cycling कर सकते हैं. Early morning we can do the cycling, but in between the time, in between the hours of this early morning and later evening, during that phase we can't. So it is contributing. So by looking at the depiction, we can simply contribute. So this is basically called as Simpson paradox. So Simpson paradox is not implemented it, you have to understand it. So it is always dependent on the application what you are working on the data set what you are working on. If it is less in number, if the columns are less in number, or I should say features are less in number, simply go ahead with the individual data set, individual columns. But if the columns are ranging from 100 to 1000 or to lakhs, then definitely you can't work on it. Fine, class? So this is basically the Simpson paradox. So this is how we can go for also. So when we are working with this, so I have a data set जिसमें blue is representing something else and orange bubbles are represented. So basically they are the data points. So they are actually segregated by each other. So we can simply say that this is basically the Simpson paradox. What? The blue line over here is only telling you after grouping the data, they belong to blue category. Orange line simply shows that they are contributing towards the orange bubbles. That means orange data point जो भी represent कर रहे थे वहां पर. So this is basically called as the Simpson paradox. इस तरीके से हम इसे represent कर सकते हैं. Over here, second one, same thing is happening for blue color dot. That means I have a data set जिसके अंदर 3 different categories थे and we are just representing it. So how we are defining? So if I take this, these are the two data points. So I can simply say that let it be for 0 and this is for 1. When I'll plot this 0 and 1, मैं अब यहाँ पर individually इनको अगर plot कर रही हूँ, then I have now this is basically called as Simpson paradox. These are basically called as individually when they are taken care of. So अगर तुम ध्यान से देखोगे, so all the blues are all together, all the oranges are all together. But when I actually plotted all this thing with one parameter, grouping all this, so now I have something in common. So यहाँ पर सब क्या हो रहा है? यहाँ पर सब increase हो रहा है with this blue line and orange line, but over here it is decreasing. होना क्या चाहिए था? सिम्पसन पैराडॉक्स ने के अकॉर्डिंग अगर इंडिविजुअली कह रहा है दे आर इंक्रीजिंग, सो सिम्पसन पैराडॉक्स के अकॉर्डिंग इसको इंक्रीजिंग होना चाहिए था, बट क्योंकि सिम्पसन पैराडॉक्स कॉन्ट्राडिक्शन प्रोवाइड करता है तो इट इज गोइंग इन द नेगेटिव डायरेक्शन. So we have to understand the statement what exactly we are going for. ग्राफ को देख के समझ में आ जाना चाहिए exactly problem क्या है. Fine class. So this is basically called as Simpson paradox. So I'll give you an example. So I personally feel कि तुमको अगर समझ में आ गया है कि सिम्पसन पैराडॉक्स क्या है तो तुम्हें बहुत क्लैरिटी से समझ में आ जाएगा. There was an article from University of Berkeley. Basically, University of Berkeley में admission process को लेकर के some researchers actually did a study. So what they exactly found out that men and women को के बीच में उन्होंने data set collect किया और उसमें ये देखा कि कितनी applicants आए थे और कितने admission हुए. And because they segregated two categories. Now the two outputs are men and women. So there is male and female. So male के लिए जो applications आई थी, they are 8442 and out of 8442, 44% were admitted. Similarly, female के लिए जो applications आई थी, they are half of what exactly the male applicants were. That is 4321 and almost 35% of the females got admission in that particular university. Now just let me know, अगर तुम्हें ये टेबल किसी को समझानी हो तो तुम क्या बताओगे इस टेबल को देख करके. आई वांट आंसर फ्रॉम ईच एंड एवरी वन स्टूडेंट. टेल मी, इस टेबल को देख के तुम्हें क्या समझ में आता है? आई गिव यू जस्ट 2 मिनट्स. एक बार अच्छे से देख लो, समझ लो. आर्टिकल सबके पास नोट्स हैं, नोट्स पढ़ के समझना चाहते हो वो भी कर लो, मुझे कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. बट मुझे सिर्फ ये पता करना है कि एग्जैक्टली तुम्हारा इन्फरेंस क्या है इस डेटा सेट को देख करके. मैं अगर किसी को बताना चाहूँ तो मैं इसमें क्या इन्फॉर्मेशन निकाल पा रही हूँ. So there is just a 2-minute break. I'll be just coming back in 2 minutes. So just study it, read it, whatever you feel like, and let me. Just 2 minutes. Okay, class. Anyone? हाँ जी, कौन बताएगा? Yes, first years.
Ma'am, in the first table, we have been given that a university, it accepts male and female candidates differently. Like, it's just an overall view. And here we have been shown that out of 8,442 applicants, who are male, only 44% were admitted inside, and females में out of 4,321 women, only 35% of women were admitted. So we can say over here roughly that ऊपर से that here the female members they are being selected more in less number of, like 4,321 is not a very huge amount, but from there 35% of women candidates are being selected. But out of 8,442 applicants who are male, only 44% are admitted. This is like the overall view, but when we come to specific departments, we can see that there has been differences.
Okay. बस यहीं तक ठीक है.
Yes, ma'am.
Males are more admitted than females. Can I say that, class? How many? I can't say that. Okay, why?
No, ma'am, not actually.
Why?
Because ma'am, because the applicants who are applying, their number is also high, and from that only 44% are being selected. Whereas in case of female candidates, we have a less number.
What are
and
the
from
total number of applicants are this plus this?
Yeah.
Almost twice of the women is men.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
exactly. Now this is the important concept. So when the researchers actually did the study on this data set, so they simply said कि no matter what, males were more admitted in comparison to females. ठीक है? Because the total number of applicants were 8,442 plus 4,321. So उन्होंने इस contribution के according ये बात बोली. Because they are seeking only this thing. Fine, right now. अब इसमें कहीं पर कितनों को एडमिशन मिला, दैट नंबर इज नॉट मेंशन्ड ओवर हियर. एप्लीकेंट्स कितने थे और कितनों को एडमिशन मिला, दैट वी गॉट टू नो. एंड वी कैन सिंपली फाइंड आउट कि व्हाट वर द नंबर ऑफ selected candidates by taking out the percentage of that particular number. But अगर हम देखें तो total number is this. Just by looking at this and this percentage, they simply contributed that 35%, or I should they simply contributed that more number of males got selected or admitted in a university or in University of Berkeley rather than females. But now after that they further did the study for different departments, 85 departments, and after doing that study they got a different version of analysis that simply contributed what exactly. अभी खुशी ने बोला था, किसने बोला था आंसर?
मैम
प्राची ने आंसर किया था कि वी डिडंट टेक इनटू कंसिडरेशन सर्टेन थिंग्स. दोस कंसिडरेशन वर कौन से डिपार्टमेंट के लिए अप्लाई किया था, कौन सा सब्जेक्ट उनके लिए उस टाइम पर बहुत मोर ऑफ इंटरेस्ट था, ये सारी चीजें उन्होंने यहाँ पर डिफाइन नहीं करी हुई है. सो डेफिनेटली द वर्जन इज डिफरेंट. सो नाउ एक्चुअल इंटरप्रिटेशन वाज दिस, एंड आफ्टर डूइंग द फर्दर एनालिसिस दे गॉट टू नो दिस. सो डिपार्टमेंट ABCDEF, मेल्स कितने थे, फीमेल्स कितने थे, कितनी एप्लीकेंट्स आई थी हर डिपार्टमेंट के लिए, कितने एडमिशन हुए, एंड देन फाइनली दे गॉट टू नो दैट इट इज रिवर्स द साइकिल. सो व्हाइल ग्रुपिंग मेल एंड फीमेल, the objectivity of the problem is something else. By individually considering the male and the female, the objective was actually defined. So we have to think about what exactly the amount of features have to be clubbed. For example, if I'll say A and B department के लिए the admission, the A and B department के लिए the admission rate, admission जिनका हुआ है, this is almost same. So I can say that they are dependent after doing some set of correlation. Similarly, for C and D department, I can say that they can be clubbed, but for the case of male. But over here, for A and B, I can go for the females because A or B के बीच में there is more of sparsity of data. So certain considerations has to be taken care of. So this is basically called as Simpson's paradox. Is it clear, class? So आपको क्या काम करना पड़ता है? सबसे पहले आपको individual analysis करना जरूरी होता है, and then you have to go for the grouping. That means for Simpson analysis, सबसे पहला फंडा is do your correlation. Correlation से के साथ साथ do the analysis on your individual features. Then mix it up. So अगर तुम आज के बाद कभी भी किसी भी डेटा सेट पे काम करोगे, always see, आप सबसे पहले visualization करते हो. Visualization का मतलब क्या होता है? First you will load the data set and after that graphically you will represent certain things, जैसे मैंने किया हुआ है. ग्राफिकल रिप्रेजेंटेशन से ग्राफ्स को तुम स्टडी करोगे कि एग्जैक्टली व्हाट दे आर इन्फरिंग, जस्ट लाइक वी डिड कि पॉजिटिवली कोरिलेटेड थे. After that, we identified that seasons are dependent on the months and how months can be correlated with the season. हमने कोरिलेशन कैलकुलेट किया. कोरिलेशन कैलकुलेट करके हमें पता चला कि सीजन्स आर डिपेंडेंट ऑन आवर मंथ्स. उसके बाद हम लोगों ने क्या किया, हमने वो मर्जिंग करना शुरू किया. डूइंग द मर्जिंग डेफिनेटली did the model complexity और did reduce the model complexity, क्योंकि कुछ merging हो गई है तो 4 columns एक साथ आ गए, 4 columns एक साथ आ गए. जो अभी 8 दिख रहे थे अब we are just having only 2 columns. That is okay, but at what cost? Stability is being reduced. Accuracy थोड़ी increase हो जाएगी, but stability is being reduced. We don't want our system to be unstable because जो इंडिविजुअल्स की अपनी कंट्रीब्यूशन थी, अपनी आइडेंटिटी थी, इट इज बीइंग ओवरपावर्ड बाय ग्रुपिंग इट, जो कि हमें दिख रहा था. सो सिम्पसन पैराडॉक्स, you have to identify where you have to use it, not Simpson paradox, where you have to group the data and where you have to take care of the individual data set. Fine class, this is basically called as Simpson paradox. मैंने 2-3 इसमें rules डाले हुए हैं, basically not rules, what exactly the example simply wants to say, you can simply read it over. Now the last topic of this thing is correlation that we had gone for. I just want you people to let me know what is this covariance. What is this covariance? Another 15-20 minutes, not beyond that. What is this covariance? What we mean by covariance? Correlation समझ में आ गया. It is very important for prediction because अगर हमें पता चल जाए correlation है तो हम prediction बहुत आसानी से कर सकते हैं. जैसे कि I like blue color and if somebody wants to purchase a dress for me, so they will prefer कि हाँ blue color की है तो definitely उसको पसंद आ जाएगी. Now this is something called as prediction. So correlation है. Now what is this covariance? Read it and let me know. So covariance is basically gives you a measure of the association between variable x and y. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? It actually gives you the amount by which the association is. And the formula is basically, you will simply, so basically this is contributing for your correlation. So it simply says that whenever you will calculate the covariance, अगर तुम covariance निकाल लोगे तो तुम्हें पता चल जाएगा whether they are correlated or not. So this is exactly what is the backbone of correlation. हम correlation कैसे identify करते हैं, data set को देख करके नहीं निकाल पाते हैं, पर जब हम correlation को call करते हैं तब हमें पता चलता है तो exactly backend पे क्या calculate किया जा रहा है, covariance को calculate किया जा रहा है. So कोई भी 2 कॉलम के लिए अगर हम लोग कोरिलेशन बोल रहे हैं या कोई भी 8 कॉलम्स के लिए 8 फीचर्स के लिए हम लोग कोरिलेशन कॉल कर रहे हैं तो ऑटोमेटिकली कोवेरियंस इज बीइंग कैलकुलेटेड. सो कोवेरियंस का फॉर्मूला क्या है? कोवेरियंस ऑफ एक्स एंड वाई. सो नाउ प्लीज जस्ट अंडरस्टैंड, कोवेरियंस कैन बी, अगर इफ आई हैव ओनली 2 इवेंट्स एज एक्स एंड वाई, सो कोवेरियंस कैन बी एक्स ऑन एक्स ऑन वाई, covariance y on x and covariance y on y if I have 2 variables. So phenomenon remains the same. So what it exactly says that covariance is nothing but e of x minus e of x, y minus y, e of y. What is this? Who will tell me? What is this? x हमें पता है वो वेरिएबल है, y हमें पता है वो वेरिएबल है. What is this? E of x.
Ma'am, this is mean.
Expectation of
एक्सपेक्टेशन.
Exactly. It is called as mean. जिनको नहीं पता वो अभी के लिए इसको मीन मान ले, बट इसको जब भी क्लास हम लोग मीन लिखते हैं ऐसे,
Yes,
ठीक है,
ma'am.
बहुत सारी जगह पे म्यू लिखा जाता है एज मीन, ठीक है. लेकिन जब हम इन टर्म्स ऑफ प्रोबेबिलिटी या इन टर्म्स ऑफ स्टैट्स की बात करते हैं तो माय मीन इज बीइंग कन्वर्टेड टू दिस. दिस इज बेसिकली कॉल्ड एज मीन ऑफ द x value. So I'll call it as expectation or expected. हाँ, getting my point, class? Stats वालों को clear है? Management, biomedical science, food technology, maths.
Yes, ma'am.
Fine.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
we have to just go for this type of covariance. ठीक है? Now it says as an example covariance of x comma y. That means इसको study कैसे करेंगे stats? Covariance of x comma y. What we mean by this? क्या कहते हैं हम इसको कि x का कोरिलेशन कोवेरियंस कितना है y पर या y का कोवेरियंस कितना है x पर? कौन बताएगा मुझे? So this is basically x on y or y on x. Yes, class.
X on Y.
X on Y.
So this is x on y and this is basically y on x. So just understand. Okay. So now it says that covariance of x on y is 7 and covariance of a on b is equal to 5 would tell us that these pairs respectively are positively associated. Why they are positively associated? Because they are giving you a positive contribution. They are not having any kind of sign. So it is a positive value. +7 है, +5 है. अगर ये -7 होता तो negative correlation होता. Sorry, not correlation, covariance होता. इसके आगे इसने कुछ लिखा, but it is difficult to tell whether the relationship between x and y is stronger than a and b without any additional information. What we mean by this? We can simply say that two different covariants are calculated for a data set जिसमें x और y एक variable है, x and y are two variables and a and b are another two variables. So total 4 variables are there in a data set. So we calculated a covariance of x on y and covariance of a on b and we got a positive value for both the things. So we got to know that they are having positive correlation. That means जैसे जैसे x और y वेरी कर रहा है increasingly वैसे वैसे a and b भी वेरी कर रहा है increasingly in the same direction, but they are not giving you any kind of relationship how they are correlated. इसका मतलब हम ये नहीं कह सकते कि अगर मेरा वेरिएबल ये था, so I can't say that it is basically this piece of information I am not getting by calculating the covariance. If I need to get this value, okay, exactly by what factor or by how much they are correlated, then I have to go for a deeper analysis. This is what exactly is being overcome in the Simpson paradox. First table, we just got to know male and female. In second table, we got to know exact analysis in between male with different departments, female with different departments. Then I can say how they are correlated. Over here, just understand. Covariance आपको सिर्फ ये बता सकता है whether they are positively correlated or positively associated or negatively associated. But they can't, covariance आपको ये नहीं बता पाता how they are correlated. Positive और negative तो बता सकता है, लेकिन how they are correlated. Are they factoredly correlated or they are scalarly correlated? We are not aware of. तो ये हमें चीज यहाँ से नहीं पता चलती है. सो कोवेरियंस सिर्फ ये इंफॉर्मेशन देता है कि कितने अमाउंट से वो पॉजिटिवली कोरिलेटेड है या नेगेटिव कोरिलेटेड है. So who will tell me this Pearson correlation coefficient? And this is the famous one, very much used. Majorly Pearson and Spearman are used. So this is by name Pearson correlation coefficient because जिन्होंने ये define किया था उनका नाम Pearson था. So Pearson correlation is very much in use, very much required for your data analysis. या तो Pearson use किया जाता है Spearman majorly. So who will tell me what is this Pearson correlation coefficient? So अभी तक अब हमें पता करना है कि how they are related. So by the formula, it simply gives you E of x minus E of x. That means x minus mu, y minus mu. Or I should say x minus mean, y minus mean of y. Divided by what is this sigma x and sigma y?
Standard deviation of x.
Standard deviation. What is the standard deviation?
The degree of calculating how much the data is deviated.
How much data is deviated? It is basically degree of deviation. Fine. And it is related to variance. Can I say that?
Yes, ma'am.
Variance is equal to standard deviation is by what factor?
Square.
Can
Standard
I
deviation square.
standard deviation is square or variance?
Standard deviation is equal to under root
Exactly. So it has to be this and this has to be this. So variance is equal to standard deviation if the factor is like this. Basically, square of standard deviation is equal to under root of variance. तो वेरिएंस और स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन दोनों के दोनों एक ही पीस ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन देते हैं कि कितना वेरिएड डेटा सेट है, कितना वेरिएड डेटा सेट है, उस वेरिएड डेटा सेट के लिए वी गेट अ वैल्यू विच एक्चुअली डिफाइंस की स्पार्सिटी कितनी है, कितनी वेरिएशंस है, एंड वी रिक्वायर दैट वैल्यू. हमें इसकी जरूरत क्यों होती है क्लास? सपोज आई हैव 100 डेटा पॉइंट्स. 100 डेटा पॉइंट्स का मतलब हुआ आई हैव 100 रोज. And if I calculated the value of standard deviation, I get a value of 0.5. What does this mean? क्या मतलब हुआ इसका?
The degree of deviation is 0.5.
Degree of deviation is 0.5. इसका मतलब हर 2 या 4 वैल्यूज के बाद there is a variation of 0.5 in the data set. Fine. This is basically called as standard deviation or variation. Fine. So we require this. So now this is basically called as your standard deviation. So basically हम कर क्या रहे हैं? X minus mu y minus mu divided by their standard deviation, and this is nothing but the expectation. So we are calculating this. यहाँ से मुझे क्या पता चल रहा है? Whether my X is linearly related to my y or whether my a is linearly related to my b. ये चीज मुझे यहां से पता चल रही है depending on these two values. If it is plus near to plus 1, it is basically called as highly correlated. If it is near to minus 1, they are negatively correlated. मतलब कोई correlation ही नहीं है, बहुत ज्यादा correlation है ही नहीं. एक पॉजिटिव डायरेक्शन में जा रहा है, दूसरा नेगेटिव डायरेक्शन में जा रहा है. यहां तक किसी को डाउट है? पूछ लो फॉर्मूला. तुमसे कोई फॉर्मूला नहीं पूछेगा, तुमसे सिर्फ ये पूछा जाएगा वाई पियर्सन इज बीइंग रिक्वायर्ड और वाई स्पीयरमैन इज बीइंग रिक्वायर्ड. दोनों की अपनी वेरिएशंस हैं. Till this point it is clear. Shall I proceed ahead? So closer to 1 for Pearson value, it means positive relationship between x and y. Closer to minus 1 means negative relationship between x and y. And if x and y are totally dependent, that means there is no correlation, then the correlation coefficient is equal to 0 or near to 0 or close to 0. This is what exactly the Pearson correlation coefficient give. I'll show you also. Fine. Lastly, ये रिग्रेशन लाइन अब मशीन लर्निंग क्योंकि शुरू होने वाला है तो ऑटोमेटिकली तुम्हें वहां पर समझ में आ जाएगा. सो नाउ दिस इज समथिंग. क्लास, व्हाट वी मीन बाय दिस? Who will tell me, is this point 1 closer or falling on this line or it is far off the line?
Far of the line.
So can I say that this particular point is correlated or not? Can I say something about this thing?
No, ma'am.
We can't say that it is correlated or not. Can't you? अच्छा चलो. X axis is telling you there is a data set जिसमें एक होटल रिटेल इंडस्ट्री के बारे में बात करी जा रही है. टिप एंड टोटल बिल. सो कैन वी से दैट टोटल बिल पर डिपेंडेंट है मेरा टिप देना? कैन आई से दैट? नो, इट इज नॉट डिपेंडेंट ऑन कि अगर बिल ज्यादा आएगा तो मैं टिप ज्यादा दूंगी या टिप कम दूंगी. इट डिपेंड्स ऑन द सर्विसेज. So somebody simply thought of कि why not to have this analysis कि अगर बिल ज्यादा है तो टिप ज्यादा आ रही है या कम आ रही है. So what they studied on this thing and they plotted it like this. So now this line is basically called as the regression line. You will get to know in another 2 or 3 classes. Linear regression, logistic regression करेंगे, वहां समझ में आ जाएगा. अभी सिर्फ फंडा समझने की कोशिश करो. If I say about this particular point which is A, I'll say since it is very closer to the line, I can simply say that yes, tip is related to my total bill. But if I'll talk about this particular point, because it is far off the line, I'll simply say that no, for this point, tip is not related to the total bill. This is what exactly why we plot this line on a scattered plot. Scattered plot का मतलब क्या होता है? Plots are आपके जो data points है, they are plotted on some parameter. I mean कुछ parameters के लिए data points बनाए गए. And regression line का मतलब क्या होता है? एक ऐसी line जो कि उन data points पर fall करे in such a manner कि maximum are very closer to the line itself. So जो उसके पास आते जा रहे हैं, they are highly correlated, highly dependent, independent, and highly giving you the information. Those who are very far off, they are actually not taking care into the consideration. It's very simple. यहाँ मुझे दिख रहा है major are falling near to that particular line. I can simply say that yes, tip is correlated to your total bill and it is positively correlated. But since that particular point, I'll simply say no, it is not correlated because there are more, it is having a far off distance between the point, data point and the line, regression line. So this is what exactly the Spearman tells out. So इसका जो coefficient होगा, Spearman, Pearson. So इसका जो coefficient होगा, that is basically giving you exactly what kind of relationship it is holding. So this is being done by the regression line. So this is what and why we use Pearson coefficient. It simply says that relationship with the slope on the line has shown why Pearson correlation describes a linear relationship and why correlation is important in predictive model. Correlation होना क्यों जरूरी है predictive model? Because आसान हो जाता है बताना, predict करना. जैसे मैंने अभी एक example लिया था, बहुत layman वाला था. I like blue color and somebody is buying a dress for me and it is in blue color, so they will have that impression, okay, fine, because she likes blue color, she will like this dress. So this is something, isko predict karna. Chances of getting that dress to be liked by me is dependent on what exactly the information they are having, because they are correlating now, blue color with that dress. Last one is basically that there are more number of correlation also we can calculate. Now another one is basically called as Spearman rank correlation. Who will tell me what is the Spearman rank correlation? Again, by the name of the scientist Spearman. What is the Spearman rank correlation? Anyone class? बहुत आसान है. By name rank correlation तो पहले तो वो रैंकिंग करता है, चलो वो भी समझ में आ गया. कोरिलेशन है, ये भी समझ में आ गया कि कोरिलेशन के बारे में बताएगा कैसे कोरिलेटेड है. नाउ एग्जैक्टली कर क्या रहा है, क्या बोलना चाह रहा है?
स्ट्रिक्टली मोनोटोनिक बता रहे हैं.
मोनोटोनिक का मतलब क्या होता है?
या तो इंक्रीज ही करेगा या डिक्रीज करेगा.
इसका मतलब बोथ नहीं होगा. इसका मतलब इट विल ओनली टेल वेदर दे आर इंक्रीजिंग, देन ओनली इट इज पॉजिटिवली कोरिलेटेड. अगर एक पॉजिटिव और एक नेगेटिव है तो वो बोलेगा नेगेटिव कोरिलेटेड है. इसके ज्यादा वो नो कोरिलेशन वाले पे कुछ नहीं बात करेगा. दैट मीन्स इट विल बी ओनली टेलिंग समथिंग अबाउट द डिपेंडेंट फीचर्स. गेटिंग माय पॉइंट क्लास? नो,
Yes, ma'am.
नो कोरिलेशन वाला स्टेटमेंट ही नहीं है. And then it has to be measured by the rank order of the values. जो जिसकी ज्यादा रैंक होगी उसके लिए पहले निकालेगा, जिसकी रैंक कम होगी उसके लिए बाद में निकालेगा. So the formula is now it is like हाँ.
And what is rank here?
Who will tell me what is rank here? रैंक कैसे निकालते हैं? For example, ना डेटा पॉइंट, मैट्रिसेस वाली रैंक नहीं, डेटा पॉइंट वाली रैंक. स्टैट्स के अंदर इज नो मैट्रिसेस. इट इज लाइक दिस. If I'll say this is 10, then it is 30, it is 50. I'll simply say 2, 4, 10. So what is the rank of 50? If I'll say that the date, it is ideally it is 5, but if I'll say highest one is at a highest priority, highest rank, so I'll simply say then it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically the data points are being ranked, not the matrices वाला. Stats के अंदर बेटा रोज एंड कॉलम्स की बात नहीं होती है, स्टैट्स के अंदर ओनली डेटा पॉइंट्स की बात करते हैं। तो नाउ वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट डेटा पॉइंट्स। यहाँ पर भी जो हम लोगों ने अभी कोरिलेशन का वो रिग्रेशन वाली लाइन दिखाई है, दीज आर एक्चुअली द डेटा पॉइंट्स। एक्स की वैल्यू पर वाई की वैल्यू क्या आई है, तो वो वैल्यूज जो है वो हमने प्लॉट किए यहाँ पर, ठीक है। सो दे आर बेसिकली दी डेटा पॉइंट्स। तो द फॉर्मूला इज एक्स ऑन वाई का अगर कोरिलेशन निकालना है तो इट विल बी रैंक ऑफ एक्स रैंक ऑफ वाई इन टर्म्स ऑफ कोवेरियंस divided by rank of x rank of y in terms of standard deviation. So by this we again get the values in terms of this. So if it is more closer to 1 means positively monotonic relationship between x and y, that means it is increasing. It is just saying it is increasing. Similarly, if it is coming out to be 0, then it is basically the variables x and y are independent. Or I can simply say that अब ये monotonic, please just make sure positive and negative. So when it is near, it is coming out to be 0 or near to 0, there is no correlation. They are totally independent. So वो no independent, I mean purely independent events को लेकर के Spearman कभी भी problem में नहीं आता है. It will only tell you about positive or negative. The chances of getting equal to 0 वाले को कभी consideration में नहीं लेता है. मैथमेटिकली सॉल्व करोगे तो हाँ, ऑब्वियसली न्यूमेरिकल पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से अगर आप करना चाहते हो, सो दिस इज बेसिकली दिस. नाउ सी 1 2 3 4 these are the ranks, fine, and these are the ranks of y. Now this is in the data set that is being defined. जैसे मैंने अभी बोला था, ideally the rank is 1 2 3 4 5 or 50, but I said okay the highest one will get the highest priority, तो उसकी फर्स्ट रैंक हो गई है. Similarly over here there is a data set जिसमें रैंक गिवन है डेटा पॉइंट की, तो x की रैंक यहाँ पर गिवन है 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. y की रैंक यहाँ पर गिवन है एज पर द डेटा सेट जिसने भी डिसाइन किया होगा. उसने कहा नहीं 20 को मेरा 6th रैंक आ रहा है, या 20 के बाद 50 को इज द 10th रैंक. सो नाउ दे विल कैलकुलेट अकॉर्डिंगली. इज इट ओके क्लास?
यस मैम.
ओके.
Yes, ma'am.
तो जब भी हम स्पीयरमैन को प्लॉट करने की बात करते हैं या फिर पियर्सन को प्लॉट करने की बात करते हैं, तो पियर्सन लीनियर लाइन स्पीयर, इट इज हैविंग अ कर्वेचर. सो दिस इज बेसिकली अ कर्वेचर. और अगर हम दोनों को प्लॉट करने की बात करेंगे तो डेफिनेटली स्पीयरमैन कंपैरेटिवली कंप्यूटेशनल एफिशिएंसी ज्यादा दे पाता है, प्लस स्पीड लो हो जाती है, बिकॉज वो फॉर एवरी डेटा सेट फर्स्ट इट विल टेक इनटू कंसिडरेशन द रैंक एंड देन इट विल बी कैलकुलेटिंग. But in case of Pearson, it is directly working on the data points of x and y. It is not calculating the rank. So definitely computational efficiency की बात करें तो we can simply say that definitely Spearman की ज्यादा है, because वो थोड़ा स्लो रेट पे काम करता है in comparison to the Pearson. इसीलिए choice of interest is Pearson coefficient of correlation. So I'll show you over here. मैं इससे छोटा वाला दिखा देती हूँ तुम्हारे को. ओके फाइन. क्लास कोई बताएगा मुझे व्हाट एग्जैक्टली rather than 15 15 I will go with 10 and 10. This is the last thing and after this I am just winding off. So सबको दिख रहा है ये चीज?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes ma'am.
So now this is something called as heat map. एंड अगर तुम इसकी सिर्फ और सिर्फ कमांड्स को पढ़ने की कोशिश करोगे तो फर्स्ट वन इज रिटन एज कॉरमैट. सो कॉरमैट इज बेसिकली कॉल्ड एज अ वेरिएबल जिसके अंदर मैंने कुछ असाइन करा है. क्या असाइन करा है? df इज माय डेटा सेट डॉट कॉर इज बेसिकली द कोरिलेशन. अब ये जो पीछे कोरिलेशन कैलकुलेट कर रहा है वो पियर्सन भी हो सकता है, स्पीयरमैन भी हो सकता है, एंड देयर आर 3-4 मोर कोएफिशिएंट ऑफ कोरिलेशन निकालने का फैक्टर्स. तो मेजरली बाय डिफॉल्ट इट इज कैलकुलेटिंग द पियर्सन, क्योंकि मैंने ब्रैकेट में कुछ मेंशन नहीं किया. इफ आई वुड हैव मेंशनड लाइक स्पीयरमैन तो वो स्पीयरमैन कैलकुलेट करता, तो वो रैंक के अकॉर्डिंग कैलकुलेट करता. आफ्टर दिस आई कैलकुलेटेड द हीट मैप फॉर माय कोरिलेशन कॉरमैट. अब जब मैंने उसको प्लॉट किया तो बेसिकली उसने क्या काम किया, उसने एक साइड पे सारे वेरिएबल्स लिए, दैट मीन सारे फीचर्स लिए, एंड वाई एक्सिस पे भी सारे फीचर्स लिए, और उसने कोरिलेशन मैट्रिक्स बनाना शुरू कर दिया. अभी देखो जरा डायगनली ऑल आर वन. These all are one because season is related to season. highly correlated. Year is related to year. So जो वेरिएबल जिसके साथ उसी वेरिएबल के साथ कोरिलेटेड रहेगा, that's the only reason वो 1 है. Now towards the edge it is 0.8 and it is -0.2. इसका स्केल कितना था? -1 से +1 तक जाना था. आई होप सबको याद है कोरिलेशन, जब पियर्सन कोएफिशिएंट के लिए बात करें तो -1 से +1 जा रहा है. ठीक है. एंड क्या बोला था? -1 पे नेगेटिव कोरिलेटेड, +1 पे पॉजिटिवली कोरिलेटेड. एंड अगर वो 0 है या 0 को अप्रोच कर रहा है, दैट मीन्स देयर इज नो कोरिलेशन. सो व्हाट वी आर गोइंग फॉर, वी आर जस्ट स्टडीइंग कि 0.8 के पास कौन कौन सी वैल्यूज आ रही हैं. So first one is 0.42, then it is 0.68, again 0.42. So now 0.68 is basically count which is correlated with the peak hours. So इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? Peak hours are correlated with the number of count. Number of count का मतलब number of bikes rented in a day. So कौन से hours में हमें number of bikes ज्यादा rented होती है, वो correlation मुझे यहाँ पर पता चल रहा है. So it is basically 0.68. Mathematically I have to calculate. यहाँ पर उसने calculate करके बता दिया. Similarly, I can choose something like 0.31, which is basically temperature. And temperature is correlated to season. So it is positively correlated. Why? Because I know with change in season, temperature also changes. Can I say that?
Yes, ma'am.
So it is correlated. Similarly, if I talk about this, which is basically the weather situation, which is not at all correlated to the year. How does it matter? पूरे साल में कोई भी वेदर सिचुएशन कभी भी अराउज हो सकती है. आई डोंट नो, मुझे नहीं लग रहा था कि कल रात में इट विल रेन, बट यस इट रेन्ड. आई डोंट नो ना वेदर सिचुएशन कब कैसे चेंज हो जाए. सो दे आर नॉट कोरिलेटेड कि अगर आज ये पॉजिटिव ईयर है, दैट मीन्स अगर आज ये इवन टाइप ऑफ ईयर है, दैट मीन्स 2012 है, तो जी वेदर सिचुएशन ये होगी, और 2011 था तो वेदर सिचुएशन ये होगी. वी कांट से दैट. So they are negatively correlated. Similarly, if I'll talk about this, humidity with holiday, is there any relationship between humidity and the holiday? If there is a holiday, Sunday अगर holiday है तो it doesn't make sense कि उस दिन ज्यादा humid होगा.
No, ma'am.
So
No, ma'am.
it is simply showing me that it is not at all correlated. So it is more negatively correlated. That means there is no correlation. So we have to identify like this. So now this is basically heat map. I didn't do any calculation. मैंने अपने पूरे कोड में कोई कैलकुलेशन नहीं करी है. मैंने सिर्फ और सिर्फ विजुअलाइज किया है. विजुअलाइज करके मुझे पता चल चुका है. मैंने विजुअलाइज के साथ क्या काम किए हैं? एनोट किया. एनोट का मतलब शो दी वैल्यूज ऑन दैट पर्टिकुलर सेल. सो आई एम गेटिंग दी वैल्यूज ऑन दी सेल. एंड द मोमेंट आई यूज दिस, आई गॉट टू नो कि व्हाट इज द कोरिलेशन फैक्टर. तो बेसिकली कोवेरियंस को कैलकुलेट करके उसने कोरिलेशन निकाल के मुझे बता दिया पॉजिटिव कोरिलेटेड है, नेगेटिव कोरिलेटेड है या नो कोरिलेशन है. So just by looking at this, I get to know what exactly the correlation means, what exactly we mean by positive and negative correlation. We can go for Spearman and Pearson. Why Spearman and why Pearson? Because Spearman is taking time. It takes more of time because it is it computes first the rank, and then finally, yeah, it works according to the rank of the data point. But for the case of Pearson, it works on the data point directly. It doesn't calculate it on the basis of what rank they are holding. Fine. Then there is standard deviation and variance, which actually tells you how sparsely data set is there. So data set and data points are different. Please do understand. Data set is full of rows and columns. Data points are basically what are the values the rows and columns are having. So we are working on the data points, and data set is collective by nature. Is it okay, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. मैं इसके आगे नहीं बढ़ाऊंगी. But I need one thing from you people. I want you people to read something about this. And ये सबको आता है. Central limit theorem. And last thing. I want you people to be prepared with these two topics for tomorrow's class. Just come and read it. That's it. सिर्फ पढ़ के आना है, मैंने समझने के लिए नहीं बोला है, सिर्फ पढ़ के आना है कि व्हाट एग्जैक्टली नॉर्मल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन इज एंड व्हाट इज द सेंट्रल लिमिट थ्योरम, आई डोंट नो। ठीक है, लास्टली आई होप,
Okay, ma'am.
lastly the only thing is that you people got to know what is this and what is this. So we all know that this is positively correlated and this is negatively correlated. Okay, so this all is dependent on this distribution. So I want you people to come prepared with these two topics. Just read it, don't work on it, just read it, ताकि जब मैं पूछूं तो at least you people can answer. Okay, just taking your attendance. Juhi,
Yes, ma'am.
Sachi,
Present, ma'am.
Richa,
Present,
Shalini,
ma'am.
Bhavna,
ma'am.
Bhavna, Gayatri,
Present, ma'am.
Nisha,
Present, ma'am.
ओके लगा दिया बेटा. विशाखा, विशाखा इज नॉट हियर. ओके. मानसी,
Present, ma'am.
पेक्षा,
Present, ma'am.
श्रुति,
Present, ma'am.
नेहा रोज,